Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Verdict Sports Show. I'm your host, Jacob Vernon, joined by my guy G Sportz. G, what's good? How you doing? How you feeling?
Throwing them tools up, man. My dude Lacey, man. You see it.
Yeah, I got a rep. Got a rep. Shout out. We got a lot of stuff to break down for y'all today. We're gonna do a little bit of an LSU series update. Y'all been seeing the news, the rumblings, Clemson, SMU. We're gonna fill you in on everything that could be changing in that. Little brief LSU recruiting update, a prospect that I want to highlight as a G about, pick his brain. And then we got an interesting topic, 2024 CFP, last year's playoffs. What would it have looked like if we were in the 16-team format? G, would LSU have poked their head around? I don't know. Let's dive right into it, though. So, yesterday, Clemson's kickoff time was announced. 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 6:30 p.m. for the Louisiana boys. It'll be Saturday night in Death Valley. I ain't gonna lie. It might not be the right Death Valley, but it's a primetime matchup. The boys get to lock in, start the year off the right way. G, what's your takeaway to this? And do you think a primetime matchup is a good thing for them? Is it a little more pressure than you were anticipating? Or what's your takeaway for that?
It's a good thing, man. Anytime LSU is playing a ranked team of the caliber of Clemson, you got to put them on a prime time schedule, bro. You know that the brand of LSU, everybody in the nation gonna be watching. When they played USC, I think they said they had like the third most views for that whole weekend of college football. So it was only right that they put them on prime time, bro. It's gonna be an atmosphere down there at Clemson. Then you got two potential Heisman Trophy candidates and Clay and Cade Klubnik and
Yep.
Garrett Nussmeier. The receiving core of LSU, they ready to start dancing in the end zone and getting all the cameras on them. So it's gonna be fun to watch. I can't wait.
And then you talk about Heisman candidates. You could be seeing the potential battle out for the number one picks, even with Cade and Smart. Both of these quarterbacks obviously had a great career here. We'll be live on site as usual. More predictions on that game to come. But thought that was a very interesting update for LSU season because everybody's highlighting this game. This is the end all be all for Brian Kelly in this playoff run. They wanted to start the right way. You want to start undefeated, 1-0 on the road, defeating the ACC champions. And I did think that maybe this could potentially be a little bit of not adversity, but it's up in the ante, G, because
This
now
will
the
this
whole
will
nation.
be this will be, in my opinion, the most important game of Brian Kelly's era at LSU. All right, that's just what that is, man. And I think that if they don't get it done, like we talked about in the last episode, Scott Woodward gonna have a lot of questions to answer. Come the next week, you're gonna start hearing rumblings, and you're gonna start hearing all the rumors going around about could Brian Kelly be getting bought out because he's on a 10-year deal. So, uh, like I say, I think this is the most important game of his career since he's been at LSU.
I think so too, and this could really put them into a whole different conversation. Really, you can see the writing on the wall here before you even walk into this week. You win it, you're one of the top teams in college football. Everybody's talking about the rebuild, the transfer portal overhaul, how they've been able to kind of hit the bricks and make it look like nothing's ever happened. Now, same can be said about the opposite. If you lose, you're going to have that seat get a little warm. The Wolves in Baton Rouge are going to start howling. And Scott Woodward, like you said, G, going to have some tough decisions to make. I'm not going to lie. There's
And I
another
think,
series.
and I
Oh,
and I think that's why they went all in with that NIL package. When he was saying he was going to match the money in the offseason, trying to get more money into that collective to be able to get these guys on the transfer portal. Because I think he understands, like, year 4, bro, we got to get in that playoff, and I think he's willing to go all in. And that's why you see so many talented players they got in the portal and why they had the number one class, because he understands that if he don't get it done this year, not saying they got to win the national championship, but they got to get in that playoff and they got to make a run.
yeah, I agree, especially with the NIL efforts, especially with the recruiting class efforts. You got to see the whole cycle. You get to see a freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year from that original class that had arrived. There's a lot of different variables. I got one question I want to pop into your head, though. Let's say, hypothetically, we got this 16-team format being talked about, being poked and prodded, 4 SEC bids. You got some at-large bids that they could sneak in with. Could that potentially save him a little bit? You think if, let's say, hypothetically, LSU does not get into the 12-man, unfortunately, but if the NCAA moves it to a 16 team, does that play into that decision or it don't matter?
When when is the deadline for them to make the decision if it's going to turn into a 16-team playoff? You know?
I'm not sure exactly on the deadline, but I know that they're talking about it through this season, and they are rumoring as early as a 2026 start,
Yeah,
meaning
so it
next
won't
year.
happen. Yeah, it won't happen this year. So
No.
yeah, he gonna have to figure a way to get in that 12-team playoff this year. I mean, even if they voted to be able to turn into a 16 team, it ain't gonna matter if he don't make it this year because he ain't gonna see he ain't gonna see 2026.
He ain't gonna be able to get a chance.
Nah.
One more brief update here in terms of series, in terms of matchups, LSU and SMU. We talked about that last time we were live. Gee, something went completely over my head. I ain't gonna lie. We're talking about a home and home. SMU's home is a little bit different than Tiger Stadium. Tiger Stadium, you can hold 109,000 people if you really cram everybody together. Concession stand, sideline, boxing at the top. SMU, 32,000, G. That's a big change. Now, there's a bunch of things that people are rumoring, hypothesizing. You got Jerry World in Dallas. You got a lot of different opportunities. Got two questions for you, though. First things first, this is an interesting question. LSU fans might not like to hear it, but it did pop into my head. Now, I know LSU fans travel well, and you got to give them the ability to be able to pack the stadium out and get it to the point that they want it to be. But does SMU really deserve losing home field advantage, hypothetically, in this situation? Just asking your opinion in this.
I mean, usually that's how you do it though, bro. You do home and home. That's usually how it goes. That's what they doing with Clemson. It's not like SMU is on the bottom of the totem pole. When you talk about some of the mid-level D1s, that's an upcoming program. They was in the 12-team playoff last year.
It
I think they
was.
only gonna continue to get better. I do think they need to revisit if it should be at Cowboy Stadium, um, because LSU travels, right? They'll travel 32,000 people by themselves. So I think that's probably the only thing they need to kind of figure out. And if they do that, man, you're playing Jerry's World, and then the next year you come play down there in Death Valley and Baton Rouge.
What do you think something like that happens? That's my second question here for you. I feel like Jerry World, Cowboy Stadium, AT&T Stadium, whatever you want to call it, everybody recognizes that as really one of the most innovative stadiums, one of the biggest brands in sports, not even just the NFL. What does it mean for a college like LSU, a big brand, and then another college like SMU, a building brand? What does it mean to be able to play in there, attach themselves to that?
I mean, that's a state of the art facility, bro. I want to say the last time LSU played in there is when they played Oregon. That's
Let's
when
see.
Tyron Matthew was there. I could be wrong about that. They might have played in there for a bowl game. No, I think the last time they played in there was when they played Oregon on prime time. First game of the
Yep,
season. Uh,
2011.
yeah, I think that's the last time. So I think it's only fitting for them to be able to go back to Jerry World and put on a show against SMU.
I think that'll be a nice location change. But like I said, completely went over my head whenever I initially reported this. I was very surprised and shocked to see 32,000. That feels like, especially in Texas, that feels like some high school stadiums over there. They got some big ones, and I'm not
Well, you
sneezing
got to
at SMU.
realize, man, SMU, they just got to the Big 12. They wasn't always in the Big 12. There was an American Athletic Conference, which, with Tulane and
Yep.
Houston, those stadiums are not, I don't think any of them stadiums in that conference hold over 50,000 people. So that's just what that is. And I think LSU understands uh, what they was getting themselves into when they signed this contract. But I do think when it's all said and done, it's going to be moved to Jerry's World.
I'll be excited to head out there. I ain't gonna lie, G. Let's talk about this recruiting update real quick. I was doing some research, looking around, and prospects jumping off the pages at me, and for a variety of reasons. Obviously, Lamar Brown. First reason can be the proximity. ULAB prospect, somebody that's in your backyard, and it don't always work out the way you want it to in ULAB. Everybody always has the explanation of, yeah, they've been on campus all their life, they want to see something different, and I do get that, but it also provides somebody with the ability to be able to recruit and develop a relationship that much better. G, he's probably one of the most versatile linemen that I really can pinpoint in this 2026 class. He's playing a little bit of O line, playing a little bit of D line. My question to you is, what do you think he's better at? And this is an insane question, but I'm gonna bring it to light. I mean, we're in the age of the Travis Hunter two-way player playing both sides. How, in your mind, impossible or possible would it be for a trench player to do that? Imagine I'm protecting my quarterback, then boom, you flip to the other side. I'm going to get the quarterback. How the hell would you even work that out?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not, bro. Not in the trenches. Not in the SEC.
It's
It's just too
insane.
violent in them trenches. You're getting touched every play. It would never work. And I don't think Lamar Brown and his family is even thinking about doing something like that. You know, that'll be ridiculous if they even thought about um talking to schools about trying to do that. All right, especially if you're trying to preserve your body to play on Sundays. Which ones he's better at? Man, flip a coin. Flip a coin. He's that good at both on both sides of the ball. I think what it comes down to for Lamar Brown is if he's going to choose the defensive side of the ball, what kind of scheme they running. All right. I think he could play the three tech or the five. I think he's that good. He's super super athletic. But me personally, I would love to see him play O line. With him being so athletic, so big, so nimble, so light on his feet. When you got an offensive lineman that could move like that with that kind of them kind of traits, it's a you instantly think first round pick. And Lamar Brown has been really, really good every year he's been at UI going back to his ninth grade year. And I think that if LSU wants to seal a deal with him, they got to sell him on, being the next one. Emory Jones just got drafted in the third round. Will Campbell just got drafted in the first round. All right, you gotta sell him on being the next one. You know what I mean? Do I think he would have an opportunity to start as a freshman? Maybe. Uh, it's gonna depend on how this thing work out with Tyree Adams and Weston Davis. Uh, and even if Braylon Moore and Josh Thompson leave this year, all right, that could open up something at the guard position. I don't know if they have an open mind of playing guard when he first comes into college, and then maybe when Tyree Adams and Weston Davis leave, moving to tackle. I think that's some conversations him and Brad Davis and the staff is gonna have to have with him, but I think Lamar Brown is good enough, and his body is physically imposing enough to possibly be able to start as a true freshman. I really believe that. I think he has the mentality to be able to come in and figure things out schematic wise, and get into SEC shape. So we're gonna see. LSU better do everything in their power to make sure he stay home though. I know he coming from a single parent home. I met his mother a few times at camps and at games. Sweet, sweet lady. You could tell that they're doing their due diligence and trying to make sure they make the right decision, and not just going to say we gonna go to LSU just because of in our backyard. They trying to make sure they put him in the best position possible. And Lamar is very, very bright. People that probably don't know him, he has a really, really good head on his shoulders, and he understands how recruiting works. So whatever he decides to do, it's going to be the best decision for him, and he not going to base this off of NIL either. I can promise you that. Don't get me wrong, that's a part of it. I gotta keep saying it to people. I don't want y'all to make it seem like the NIL don't play a part into or a factor into these kids' decisions, but he understands the long term. And I think he's gonna make the best decision for him and his family when it's all said and done.
And with what I've seen, because I wanted to ask you about that in terms of how, with that assessment of somebody that talented could potentially play freshman year, how do you lock in on that? You look at his Twitter, he's visiting USC, he's tweeting about visiting Austin, and there's a couple of worrisome destinations. G, you got A&M in the mix, and not to mention this is a complete little left turn, but just to visualize how athletic and how impressive this kid is. He just won state and track and field on campus here at LSU. G. Like this kid's all around athlete. It don't matter what it is. D line, O line, shot put, it don't matter. Throw him out
Then
there.
I
You're
don't
gonna
know if
get.
you ever seen him. They had him on a relay. I think it was the 4x1. Bro, dude moving. Like he is a specimen, and he's a competitor. Like how many old linemen that's gonna say, "Hey, put me on a 4x1." I don't know too many. All right. For him to have that kind of mentality to say, man, put me out there. I don't care if all these rest of these guys faster than me. I'm about to show y'all that I could compete with the best of them. I don't care how fast they are. That tells me a lot about his mindset, bro. So getting to know the kid over the last 2 to 3 years, bro, I think this guy is somebody LSU cannot lose, bro. I'm comparing this to losing to when they lost Jakeem Stewart. I think is right around the same type of situation, bro. I think these are generational talents in my opinion. These are first round pick talents in my opinion. So
Mhm.
they got to do whatever they got to do to make sure they keep Lamar Brown home.
Especially with all these people floating around, trying to poke and pry and get some attention on him. I feel like that's saying enough about it. let's move on to this college football playoff talk. So this is going to be a little bit of a confusing breakdown, but here's what I wanted to do for y'all. We're talking about 16-team format. We're talking about all these different seeds. 4 seeds for the SEC, 4 for the Big 10, 2 for the Big 12, yada, 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 yada. I feel like you can't visualize it that good. You can't really understand it until we put it in a realistic scenario, G. So 2024, we saw the playoffs come and go. A lot of people griping, a lot of people complaining. Maybe Ole Miss, maybe Alabama, maybe some other teams that could have potentially got there names called on Selection Sunday. If we were in a 16-team format, there would have been some happy people. There would have been some changes, and those teams would have been some of the ones that got added in. Let me read them down to you. Seed number 1 to seed number 16. I'll explain the conference, the bid type, the whole 9 yards. The seeding last year in these playoffs, if we were in the 16-team format. Number 1 would have been Oregon out the Big 10 on an auto bid. Number 2, Georgia from the SEC. 3, Texas from the SEC. 4, Penn State from the Big 10. All of your auto bids, all of your top seeds in those conferences. One of them is going to be your conference champion. The other one's going to be your second seed. And as we've said at the beginning, SEC and Big 10 are getting 4 each. So number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Number 5 will be Notre Dame Independent. That's the at-large bid. Why? The championship. Can't do all these type of things. That's going to be the one that's going to take the top at large of the 3. Ohio State, Big 10, they're coming in. Tennessee at number 7 for the SEC. Indiana at number 8 for the Big 10. Here's your G5 bid. It'll be Ashton Genty, Boise State, Mountain West. SMU comes in at 10. ACC auto bid. 11 is when Alabama comes in. 12, Arizona State. And here's where we shake it up. We shake it up a hell of a lot. 13, Miami. 14, Ole Miss. 15, Clemson. 16, BYU. Now, let me explain to you how these matchups would look because there's no first-round buys. Everybody was griping about, we shouldn't have some of these teams just get an automatic win. Now you get your questions answered. Number 1, Oregon would play 16, BYU. G, I think we know how that one will work out. Number 8, Indiana would play Boise State. And at number 9, now that's a decent game. I feel like that could be a game that could be a little entertaining. Number 5, Notre Dame versus number 12, Arizona State. Number 4, Penn State versus number 13, Miami. Cam Ward would get an opportunity. Number 3, Texas versus number 14, Ole Miss. I think that game could potentially surprise some people. Number 6, Ohio State versus number 11, Alabama. G. It looked like the national championship trajectory and path and direction already gets derailed. Number 7, Tennessee versus SMU. And number 2, Georgia versus Clemson. Here's my takeaways. Obviously, like I said, you don't have anybody getting a bye. You don't have anybody automatically just walking through, breezing through. And a lot of people are upset about the whole fact that 4 teams just got an automatic punch to the next round. I think it could potentially be a little bit better if you have these games. Now, my question to you, G, do you think that 4 SEC teams and 4 Big 10 teams is too much? Do you think it kind of displaces this a little bit? Because now you're in a spot where 2 of the 3 bids went to SEC teams as well.
It goes on off of a year by year basis, bro. Sometimes the SEC is loaded, sometimes the Big 10 is loaded. It's not all the SEC is usually loaded year in and year out. Every now and then they have an off year, but you can't just base it off and say we're gonna get 4 SEC teams in. All right, because what if that year they only got three really good teams in the SEC? Same thing with the Big 10. They up and down sometimes. Sometimes Penn State and Ohio State are the only 2 teams that's good in that league, and Michigan has an off year. Wisconsin might have a middle of the pack year. So I don't think they need to base it off of we're gonna get 4 SEC teams in. Man, base it off the 16 best teams in the country. Whatever that criteria is when it comes to strength of schedule, the eye test, the record, base it off of that, man, and come up with your 16 teams. I don't want to see anything where they're gonna pick how many teams come from each conference, and that's gonna be the criteria every year. I don't want to see that.
Yeah, because then you're gonna get in the spot where it won't be 1 through 16. You might find a 20 over here. You might find a 18, a 25.
And we know how this go. It's a money racket, bro. So they know, a school like Notre Dame, they might not deserve to be in a 16-team playoff, and they might be the 18th best team, but they're gonna put them in because they know people gonna watch this game for ratings and views, and they know they're gonna travel, which brings a lot of revenue to the bowl game. So, I don't want to see that, bro. I want to see the 16 best teams.
We want to see the focus go from compensation to competition. Simply put, what do you think about the bye weeks? Like I've been seeing that narrative as well. The 16 team potentially adjusts that.
I think if you're a one or a two seed, you deserve a bye, bro. I mean,
Okay.
if you're a one or two seed, that means you probably went undefeated. You probably went undefeated, and I think that's deserving to get a week off. That's just how I feel about it.
In the 12-man format, would you think that four is too much, or do you think that it's just going to
For
have
for
like
what?
four buys? Like as of right now, with this year, we'll see four buys like we did last year. What's your take on that?
For the top four seeds?
Hmm.
No, I don't think the top four seeds should get buys. I think the one and two seed should only get buys.
Okay. And with that, so would you be able to give a 1 or 2 seed in a 16-team bracket a buy?
I'm sure they could figure it out and configure it some
Like
kind of
some
way.
play-in games or something?
Yeah, yeah, they could, they just got to put their head together and make it make sense. But if you one and two in the country, bro, what we did all that work for, and we can't get compensated the right way and get rewarded by getting a bye and giving my team a break going into this playoff run. Come on, man, we might as well just stay middle of the pack on that top five, and lose a game, maybe two, and still be in a 12-team playoff and try to make a run that way. What we going undefeated for? And we not gonna get a bye with a one or the two seed. Just don't make no sense to me. So you got to get that one and that two seed a bye, bro.
And with those type of things, with those type of like thought processes, teams are not going to really, I'm not going to say take the regular season as serious, but like if you are trying to map yourself in the best matchup or in this spot, like sometimes even this last season, you were hearing teams like Ole Miss talk about potentially being penalized for an SEC title because of the matchups, who you're going to have to face, the side of the bracket you're going to have to be on. And then to build off of your point saying like, not all these conferences should be guaranteed certain picks, especially in the world of NIL. G, we're sitting here talking about SMU in the playoffs, Arizona State in the playoffs, Boise State in the playoffs. This isn't indicative of the future, no, but it's more so that in the world of the transfer portal, everybody knows it. Your third, fourth string depth pieces that were the future starters at these SEC schools are gone. And where are they
Right.
going? To these schools that could potentially be making their name and getting their new
And think
blood
about
here in the
this.
bracket.
Think about this, right? We get down to the end of the regular season, and we playing. Say we LSU, we playing Vanderbilt, and we undefeated. Well, I know I'm gonna make the 16-team playoff. So guess what? I'm gonna play off my second string, preserve my starters. That's what I'm gonna do. But if I know I'm gonna get a bye, if I'm stayed on one of the two seed, I'm gonna play my starters.
That's a way to keep it competitive. Because then at the end, yeah, it's gonna be like the NFL. Everybody resting, everybody taking the
That's what I'm
load
trying to tell you.
management. Yeah, I see exactly what you're talking about. Let's transition real quick to Monday night's events, the NBA draft lottery. G. Everybody been talking about this one too. You got a lot of different narratives and claims and theories, rather. Let me break it all down for you. Unfortunately, 7th pick goes to the New Orleans Pelicans. And I mean that not what they wanted. They were fourth in projected odds for first pick, had 12.5% chance to get it. Didn't work. Even had the last number one pick, Darren Nola, try to get the vibes rolling, Zion Williamson. Not enough, G. We've been talking about this one a little bit, but I want to know, in your opinion, that pick, is it worth it? Do you try to find something? Do you move it? And if you do, what kind of trade are you trying to make?
I mean, if I'm the Mavericks, I'm definitely calling Milwaukee and seeing would they possibly be interested in trading for that number one pick and in exchange for Giannis. I mean, you got to call and see. I mean, it's worth a shot.
Might as well.
Uh, I think it's just very odd that Dallas got the number one pick with a 1.8% chance.
A coin flip for number 10?
Yeah, Pat McAfee came out and was talking about is it possibly rigged? LeBron made some statements about he think it could possibly be rigged. Uh, I think it's for discussion, bro. Like they traded away Luka. Nico was getting all that flack about it, and then they end up with the number one pick. Uh, very peculiar. To me that they got the number one pick, bro. But I'm gonna be honest with you, and it's gonna be a big time statement I'm gonna make. Everybody's all excited. That's Dallas Mavericks fans and people that was watching the lottery and saying that man, Dallas they about to get Cooper Flag and they gonna be this and they gonna be that. Bro, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think the 76ers and the Spurs are in great position, better than the Mavericks. whoever gets Ace Bailey, which that's who I think the best player in the draft is. No knock to Cooper Flag. Think he's really, really good. But I think Ace Bailey is the best player in this draft. 16, got a handle, super athletic, probably the most athletic player in the draft. Can score from all three levels. He young. I think he the best player in the draft. I think the second best player in the draft is his teammate, Dylan Harper. Got an NBA pedigree in his genes. All right. A combo guard, 6'5", could shoot it, playmaker, a lefty. Like, I think Dan better. I think that's the two best players in the draft. Cooper Flag third. And then you got to think about it, the situations they go into. One thing I will say, if Cooper Flag does go number one, which I think Ace Bailey should be number one, he's going to a great situation, bro. Think about it. He gets to go play with Klay Thompson, Kyrie Irving,
AD.
Anthony Davis. So he's going into a situation where he doesn't have to be the man right away. He could develop slowly and learn alongside some veterans that's did it at a high level, right? And you get to learn from somebody like Jason Kidd as a coach. Then the Spurs, if they pick Ace Bailey, if they pick Dylan Harper, which I think they probably gonna end up picking Dylan Harper at number 2 and pair him alongside De'Aaron Fox and Wembley, man, that's gonna be a nice three-headed monster. Then you talk about the 76ers. Joel Embiid come back from injury. Go, or Tyrese Maxey. If they
Paul
got
George.
Dylan Harper or if they got Ace Bailey, that's gonna be a nice three-headed monster. I think all three of these teams make the playoffs next year. I think those three players gonna make them that much better, along with the stars they already got in place. But I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it again. I think Ace Bailey is the number one player in this draft, and I think he should go as a top pick. So everybody talking about Cooper Flag and Dallas, is a conspiracy theory that they got the number one pick because Cooper Flag going up. But the real talk should be is who's about to get Ace Bailey. And if I'm the Spurs, I'm the 76ers, I'm going to get that guy. I think he's going to be the best player when it's all said and done when we look back 5 to 7 years from now.
And if the Spurs get him and pair him with Wemby, and you got two of them extra long ball dominant
But I
players.
but that's why I don't think they're gonna pick Ace Bailey. I think they're gonna pick Dylan Harper because you already got Wembley, you got Stephon Castle, right? So you pair Dylan Harper with De'Aaron, two lefties. Ooh, that's gonna be nasty. With Stephon Castle at the 3 and Wembley, bro. Spurs gonna be good, bro. And like I said, with the 76ers, if they get Ace Bailey, you got Tyrese Maxey, right? Ace Bailey at the 3, Joel Embiid at the 5, bro.
And Paul
That's
George
gonna
over
be
there.
box office. That's gonna be
Yeah,
box office, bro.
that
So
could be turned.
yes. So if you was in them top 3 picks, bro, you in a good situation. If I'm the 76ers or the Spurs, I'm praying to God that they pick Cooper Flag number 1. I'm praying, like, please don't try to have no private workout with Ace Bailey or Dylan Harper. Just go ahead and pick Cooper Flag number 1 and let Dylan Harper or Ace Bailey fall on one of us. that's what I'm saying if I'm in the front office for the 76ers or the Spurs.
What do you think about the Pelican situation? And were you disappointed? You're not surprised? And what are they even
Yeah, I
doing?
mean they got blessed with Zion Williamson a few years ago, so you had to know they wasn't gonna get this number 1 pick. Um, it wasn't gonna happen, bro. Like, again, it sounds like I'm saying it's rigged, and like, I'm not gonna say it's rigged, but I ain't gonna say it's not rigged. I just knew that the Pelicans wasn't about to get the number 1 pick. It wasn't gonna happen, bro.
I'll take the Rockets getting a 10. I mean, that was a little swap from the Suns. I
I,
wasn't
I was hoping we
thrilled.
got in that top 5 because then, if we trying to get Giannis, right? We trading away a top 5 pick, top 10, not
The
as
Spurs
attractive.
the Spurs might have a little more advantage than us right now. I don't know. I'm nervous, G. And he is saying he want to play in a state with no income tax. Come on. San Antonio, Houston. Take your spot. I think Houston might be the best one. Fourth biggest city. I don't know. Come on, Giannis. We need to try to lock in. And then hold up. Before we clock out of this show, I want to pick your brain one more time about something. So the Celtics, obviously, God bless Jason Tatum. Towards Achilles. That whole
Yeah,
situation
man.
is looking very rough. Knicks are up 3-1. I believe they play tonight, trying to close it out. Pacers are already swept, so they're gonna be meeting them in the ECF. G, all these trade rumors out of Boston. You got Emi Adoku in Houston, obviously former Celtics coach. What are the chances that Jaylen Brown makes because he's going to get traded. It ain't really going to be his decision. What are the chances that Jaylen Brown is not a Boston Celtic next year? We got that close. When he was a free agent. They somehow, some way got to pay him both those contracts. You think that a trade could be on the way?
Yeah, they've been talking about trading Jaylen Brown for the last couple of years, even before he signed that max deal, bro. I just think the Celtics would be stupid to break that up. You won a championship with Tatum, with Tatum and Jaylen Brown together, and before that it was always they were trying to like put them against each other. Well, who team is it? And man, look, that's one of the best tandems in the NBA, and they would be stupid, especially with both of them being under the age of 30, and they didn't 1 year championship. They experience, they handle themselves the right way. Why would you break that up? I just don't see why that would make sense. And I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. I like Jaylen Brown, but I wouldn't want to trade for him. If we gonna trade for somebody, they got to be the best player on our team. And I think if you trade for Jaylen Brown, if he's our best player, I think our ceiling is not as high. That's why it got to be somebody like Giannis. Um, Even though I really don't want Kevin Durant, I would take Kevin Durant over Jaylen Brown as well. And I know Jaylen Brown is younger, but I don't think it'd be smart for the Rockets to try to go after Jaylen Brown, in my opinion. Unless we ain't got to give up too much, and that's not gonna happen.
Right. I can see where you're coming from. Jaylen Brown's probably, let's say, around 20, 22 points per game. You can expect KD around damn near 26 at 30. It's like what you giving up versus what you getting in. That's the thing you got to remember. You giving up 3 players, they are averaging 10 points per game. That's 30 points going out. You only getting someone in coming 20. That's a minus 10-point deficit. Somebody got to score that. I see what you're saying.
If you're not getting Giannis, you might as well keep this group together and just try to figure it out.
I ain't lying.
It's probably gonna take a little longer, to get yourself in a situation to get to the finals and win it. But hey, I'd rather do that than trade away our assets and trade away a good young player, upcoming player like Jalen Green, and fuck it all up.
Yeah, try to keep that continuity together, man. We've been through too much, G. We've been through too much struggle. We gotta just come on. We need some playoffs.
Our time coming, man. Our time coming.
We need some action, man.
Our time coming. Don't worry about it.
Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Y'all know the drill. Live Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 12:30. Go in the description. Go follow us on social medias. I got all the links there for you. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Before you hop out, hit that thumbs up. We'll be back on here Friday. Y'all have a good one.
Don't play.
Don't play. Long live K2.